Cell gene therapy is an amazing technology, and that industry has been rapidly increasing over the past decade. In fact, we have some clients that are focusing in that technology.
Absolutely.
So, you've been watching the cell gene therapy industry for a long time.
Yeah.
What have you observed about that industry and where it's going?
It is ripe for an explosion of potential growth. And if you look at history, so leading up to 2020, 6 major pharma companies made more than 50 cell and gene therapy alliances, licensing deals in those alliances over $16 million, and spent approximately, over 30 billion, close to $38 billion on acquisitions, right? So that's historically before 2020, right?
Yeah.
In 2020 alone, there was almost $20 billion invested in cell and gene therapy. So from a scale standpoint and where the market is moving and the type of impact those new technologies can make, it's significant. I think that's kind of the first thing that I think about. Secondly, with what is going on there, we have witnessed companies looking at opportunities to add to their portfolios. What they're really doing is looking at where the industry's going, where their weaknesses are, right, in their product chain, and how can they identify the parts of the supply chain through the process that they're the weakest at. Because really, at the end of the day, nobody knows where the most profitable and successful technologies are going to come from in this particular space. So it's really important that they shore up those areas maybe where they're weakest. So they're looking for key scenarios in identifying targets, right? Editing systems, manufacturing cell lines, improved delivery systems, and then you add in artificial intelligence, obviously, and machine learning. So there's a whole aspect of companies looking at the areas because they don't know where that growth is going to come from.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the second thing that I think that is really important. And then the third thing that you look at from an industry standpoint, okay, I think a lot of people don't realize how quickly we've gotten to where we are, because the first cell and gene therapy product that was FDA approved was in 2017. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing.
Not long ago.
Right. Only 5 years ago. So currently there are 1,200 experimental are in the phase 2 clinical trials. So when you think about that, and I'll share, there's a lot going on in the industry. You could identify something, a new article, a new company with something every single day. So one of our partners is Charles River Labs, right? Great company. They became the first CDMO in North America to receive EMA approval for commercial production of allogeneic cell therapy as a drug product. So there are new scenarios like that happening every single day. So I think that's interesting, but if you look at continual annual growth rates, so cell therapy is about 30%, no, I take that back, 15%, and then gene therapy is about 30% continual annual growth rate, right? And we'll talk more about sort of where the pharma industry is and how that section of biologics is growing extensively. But there are going to be two things that happen. The growth rates between now and 2030 are amazing, but first of all, the industry's not necessarily ready for some of this growth that's coming.
Yeah.
When you think about all those products that are currently in process, we get to 2025, there are going to be new cell and gene therapy products approved on a regular basis. So there's going to be a great deal of pressure to identify ways to drive down manufacturing costs, right? So when you look at increasing batch size, if it's therapies, from an efficiency standpoint, standardizing and streamlining processes, and really identifying areas for those process improvements or to drive down the cost of the materials as you make the products. That's going to be one thing that's going to be really important. And then the second thing, obviously, which is we're right in the middle of, is the talent piece. Mm-hmm. So when you think about this many new companies having newly FDA-approved cell and gene therapy products, so R&D, certainly R&D is, as the industry continues to grow, but on top of that, technology transfer, regulatory affairs and quality, as these companies go to commercial launch, having people that have experience and not just the skill set, but also the scientific aptitude, right, for those
Yeah.
conversations, for business development, and to launch those products. So there's going to be a talent war in this particular subset of biologics that's going to be, there's going to be a huge impact from that standpoint too.
Yeah, absolutely.